This is finally my last attempt. I'm going to check that everything is working fine. You should be seeing the Django screen like this. You should be seeing the VS Code screen. Okay. So, oh my god, this took so long to get it set up. So we're gonna start with the Django 501 documentation. The first thing we're gonna do, it's not explicitly here in the documentation, but it's usually used, is to set up a virtual environment first. So to set up a virtual environment, the command that you have to run in the first place is the Python -m vnv. This will create a folder for you to install all your packages, all your dependencies inside this virtual environment, so that you don't mess up with the versions of the program. And it will always work as long as you run it from this virtual environment. Okay. So with this command, you create a virtual environment, but you have to assign a name to the folder. You can put whatever name you want. It's not, you don't have to use a specific name, but here let's try vnv, which is like the clearest way to make it. Once you create this folder, you'll see that a vnv folder will be created inside, and inside this vnv folder you have the libraries and the side packages that you're gonna have installed here. Okay, so if you copy this from the repository that I created, I will give you the address later. So if you copy this from the repository, you're not gonna get the virtual environment nor the packages that got installed in it. You have to do it by in your own manner. So what I'd suggest is, every time you install new packages here, you have to create a requirement text file that has everything inside. So if you see here, if I do a pip freeze, this pip freeze will show every package that I got installed in my global settings in my computer right now. But if I go inside my virtual environment with this command, vnv scripts activate, now but I'm inside this vnv folder. I'm working from this vnv folder because my virtual environment is activated. So now if I run a pip freeze, you'll see that it will come empty because nothing is installed from Python inside this virtual environment. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to install pip install Django. When you install Django, you'll see that 4 packages will be installed: asgref, sqlparse, tzip, data, and Django. Okay, so from now on, once this finished, if I run a pip freeze, you should see now that there are 4 new packages installed. Okay, so let's run that command, pip freeze, and now we should see these 4 packages that got installed inside my virtual environment. So now I'm going to convert this pip freeze to a requirements.txt file. Okay, so now inside this requirements file, you got every package that got installed in your vnv. And why do you need this for? Because if you download since you're not gonna download the vnv because it's ignored in the git ignore file, once you download the source code, you're gonna get this requirement text, and you can tell Python, actually not Django, to install every packages that are inside here one by one. And you can do this with a simple command, which is pip install, and instead of just putting the requirements text here, you're gonna tell Django to read through the requirements text, requirements.txt file. When you do this, when you run this command, it's gonna try to install everything. Here it's telling me that all the requirements are already satisfied because I just installed them. But if you do this in your own computer, you'll see that it will try to install. Go ahead and install everything here. You can put this. You can update this to actually to show like you want to update this the higher or equal version of these packages like this. But it's fine, this works as well. But since we're gonna do it from the pip freeze itself, we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna be updating the requirements text. Okay, this is not in the documentation data, but I'm telling you because this is how we're gonna manage the requirements, the packages. Sorry. So let's move on with the project. Let me see. This is working fine. I'm double checking because it took me so long to set it. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm new to this. Okay, so we installed Django. Okay, we can check like it says there, Python m Django version to see what version we have. 5.1, which is the last one, is the latest, and we get here. Okay, so we're good. Now the first command that we have to do is we're going to tell Django to start a project and to start a new project here. If I run Django admin start project here, and I just put my site like it's recommended here, it's going to create two folders. The first folder it's going to call my site, and then a second folder inside my site with the same name, my site. And since we already have a directory here, which is the Django documentation folder, I just wanted to create one file. So I'm going to tell to start this project in the folder that I'm currently on. Okay, so with this command, Django will create this folder, my site. And the my site folder has a couple of files that are explicitly here, which is a new command line utility has been created, this which is called manage.py, and this is like the new command that we're gonna use for everything. Okay, manage.py is gonna be like the main command that you're gonna use to send like orders to Django, and this is how Django interprets you. So this is you get the settings file, the settings.py file, which is for the configuration of your project, and the URLs file, which is the URL dispatcher, is where where Django is going to look for every path that is created. For example, in this window here, you have this is the domain, and all these parts of the path. Every time you go inside one site, is going to check where in your site this path is and what the server needs to show you when you put this path on. So that happens in urls.py. So let's try this. This is going to show us, it says run the server here with this command and see if everything's working fine. So now we have to tell Python to use manage.py and there to run our server. So when the server gets run, something happened here. The first thing that happens is you got this database created, okay? And let's close the BMB file. You get this. This is the manage.py. This is what the file that helps us work with Django on the database. And you can see here we have an alert showing up that it has to do with the migrations and everything. We're going to talk about this in a little while. And then you got the local server, import 8000, started running the server. So let's check that. If we go to localhost, so here, this was successfully installed, and we had a congratulations site. Okay, so here it says the warning that we got. It's okay. We're gonna take care of that in a little while. And after that, it says that you should see a congratulation page. That's fine. We got it. We got that. Yeah, you started Django development server, like lightweight web server, written purely in Python. We included this with Django so you can develop things rapidly without having to deal with configuration production such as Apache until you're ready for production. Now's a good time to know, don't use this server in anything resembling a production environment. It's intended only to use in developing. One of the things that will happen here, if you remember when we were with the Angela, with the Angela project with Flask, usually when we ended Flask, we use something like this. If let's put it in a sample. We're gonna delete this anyway. It's not useful for anything, but just to understand. If you remember when in the end of the files of the main.py, we used to write something like this: if main equals this is not right. It's like this: if name equals main. You remember this, right? Equals name. Then we should say app run debug true. We would write something like this, and if we run it like this without the debug argument, what would happen is like every change that you make in your application, you would have to stop the server and rerun the server for it to display your changes. And if we turn the debug true, all the changes that you would make would show up instantly, and the server would like refresh and show any changes that you've done. Well, here Python takes care of Django takes care of this for us with within the configuration file, within the settings.py. If you see here, here, security warning: don't run with debug turned on in production. But since we're not in production and we're developing, the debug mode is set to true. And since this is set to true, every time you make changes, now that the server is running, right? So if I change something in the URL side and I add anything, path, and I save, you will see that the server reruns. Now it's showing an error because it is expecting some things here in path. But if I delete this and I save again, the server will rerun and show me again that the site is running with no problems, with no issues. Okay, so that's what it says here, automatic reloading. So now we're going to create a new app. What is an app? An app is a web application that makes something, does something. Okay, for example, a block system, a database of public records, or a small poll app. A project is a collection of configuration and apps for a particular website. So this is my project, which has some configuration setting, and the apps is every little program that runs inside my app. Okay, so here we're told to create a new app. So we're going to stop the server to do this and create a new app. Okay, so Python manage.py, and we create app. Actually, I think it's start app, and the name of the app, Pulse. It's Pulse. Okay. So here, this new folder got created. Okay, and the new folder is very similar to the one in my site, but it lacks a settings folder. Okay, and the SGI and the WSGI. But mainly, this folder has an admin file, an apps file, and the ones that we're going to be using right now, which is the models and the views. Okay, so Django works with a model view controller kind of progress under the hood, which is a model is the representation of your database, and everything that you write in your model is going to be replicated in your database with a table and fields. Then the views is the way your application interacts with your database. It's like, here's where you're gonna tell, okay, so um, get this information. You're gonna query your database. Give me X information. I want to know. I don't know how many users I have, and you're gonna display that in a controller. Usually, we would think that the view is what you actually see because of the name, but the views actually is the way you interact with your persistent layer with your database. Okay, and you're going to point with your view to a template, or the view is usually expected to return an HTTP kind of interpretation that you could express, usually in form of an HTML file. There are different kinds of views. You have the class-based views and the regular views, but it's fine. For now, we're gonna do just fine with this. Okay. So it says let's write our first view. So we're gonna copy this code here. We're gonna interpret it straight in the code in the IDE. So here in views.py, we're gonna paste what we just created. Okay. And here from Django.http, we're going to import the HTTP response. So what happens here? Every time you create a new view, the new view is going to expect always a request. Because remember, you're coming from a URL, and that is an HTTP request. So here you're returning an HTTP response to that request. Okay? And the response here is a simple string. What's happening here is that with this command, with this class here, Django is going to create for us an HTML file that gets this string inserted somewhere in that HTML file. So this is replacing a template right now. Okay? We're gonna see that later. But now this view is not called anywhere. So we have to tell actually Django that we need to see this message every time we point at a certain path. So now we have to take care of the path as well. So here it says go to polls, create a polls URL.py file, and point to your view in that URLs file. So inside polls, remember every app that you create does not come with the urls.py file in. So you have to create it. urls.py. Just create it. And once you create it, you're going to import here from Django URLs, import path, and you have to import your views as well. Okay, so from the same folder, import views. And here, if I would like to point at my views, for example, I can put views and here call index. You see? So I'm calling this view right here. From views, I'm calling this function, which is the one that will display this. But for now, here you're supposed to create URL patterns, which is a list, and inside this list, you're going to call every path that you want to follow. The path expects two main arguments that you have to pass always. The first one is a string, which is the path that you're looking for. So every time someone writes or someone looks for this path right here, which is nothing but a slash, you're going to display my views index. And you can see there's a name here. We're going to add it as well. We're gonna add it here. Yeah. Okay, so this is telling every time someone goes to localhost import 8000 and puts anything in it, I want you to display this. But actually this is not what's going to happen, because the main routing system is going to be carried here in urls.py, and here is actually the place where this is happening. If localhost 8000 / anything, someone inserts this this path, let's put it like this. So if the path is this one, what Django is going to do is he's going to try and compare this to any path that you have here. So in the future you're gonna have lots of paths here. Maybe one is admin, maybe one is polls like this actually, and maybe another one is path I don't know, posts. Okay, so in the future you might have something like this, and what Django is going to do is to copy your path, the one that got here, and we'll try to compare it to anyone. If any of these matches this, it will carry on and do the following task. Okay, so that is how this works. So let's go back a little bit and understand this. So once it matches the path, if the path is complete, it will just run what is here. If the path is not complete and you have like more parts of your path here, for example, I know if it says polls, like we want to show, what Django is going to do is going to compare this. It's going to say path polls, and here, in case we have to go to another URL routing system, it's going to take us and include a new URL file, which is the polls URLs file. Okay, let's include this. So basically what's happening here, it's saying, okay, so now your path does not match here, so we're gonna skip this part, but your path actually, it does match my second option. So what should I do now? Django is saying, say, okay, now you have to go to this URL and continue looking, because maybe you have something else. For example, first poll. Okay, so if this is the first match, Python, Django will look for this word. If it's found, then everything that comes after this word, it's going to be stripped and it's going to be tested in the new URLs file. So here, actually, we're going to be looking for this now, first poll. Okay, so now the path to look for here, is this first poll. So it didn't match here, and probably if I run this, it's going to give me an error. Let's try it out. Manage.py and server. See, this should work. Okay, server is up. Let's try it. Okay, server is up. So now let's try this. We're gonna go here and we try to run admin. Okay, so admin. Well, gave us an error. Why? Okay, this gave us an error because they're not tables. We have to migrate first in order to see this. Let's skip this for now. It will work. It will work. Actually, I'm gonna do it just for you to see how the routing system works. So, manage.py. Migrate. We're gonna take care of this later, okay? Don't mind this. We're gonna explain it really in deep detail after. So let's run the server again. Let's try this again. See, we didn't get our alerts now. Let's try this again, and here we got it. So when we did this, when we went to the admin path, what Django did is he looked for this localhost admin and started trying this on every path that he has. So in the first path, it found it and it gave us this view, okay, which is admin site URLs. It went to another place. But now we're gonna try something different. We're gonna try just localhost with the word, I don't know, test. And of course, it failed. It told me page not found. Why? Because here it looked for this. And since it looked for this, and it says, does it match here? Does it match here? And it didn't match. Okay? But now we're gonna give it something that does match here, which is the pulse. I wanna give you a pulse. It's still telling me that it didn't find anything. Why? Because here, when I put this, it got to this place, and now, after doing this, it said, okay, let's go now to the polls URLs, and it came here. When it got here, it was supposed to display the index view. Actually, I think I messed up here. Let's try it again. Wait, let's go through Django, straight Django documentation, because I think I'm missing something. Pulse, it was okay the first time. Pulse, go to polls URLs. URL pattern, polls, and admin. Okay, let's put it the same way here, but it shouldn't be a problem. After doing this, it's included. Index use. Okay, it didn't save this. Actually, I think this was the problem. I didn't save this. Okay, so now, if I go to polls, find my site URL, Django try polls, index. Wasn't for any of this. Why not? Oh, shouldn't be a problem anyway. But there you got it. So what happened here is that, let's do this. Let's roll back a little bit. So when we tried this, what happened is the site is actually this one. This is the path, and Django tried this path here and here. And since admin doesn't match, it went to this one. So after we went here, what Django did is it stripped everything from here back and sent this to the second URL site. Okay, so now we send this here. Python Django looked for this and it matched it here because here is an empty string. Okay, and it once it got this, it said, okay, then now you have to display this view, and it went to the views. Here it received the request to display, and Django returned this HTTP response. When you return HTTP response, what happened here is that actually you got this created. Let's turn this off. You got this created, this HTML file with an empty head, with a body that has this text here. Okay, so this text here is the same text that you got created here. So HTTP response makes out of your string, which is your value that you pass here as an argument, it creates an HTML file. Okay, so that would be like the first part of this program. So the path function is passed for 4 arguments. Okay, this path you need to pass 4 arguments, but actually are 2 that are required. The first one, which is a route. Okay, we're talking about this function right here. You have two main arguments that you have to pass. The first one, every time you create a new path, let's create it here. Every time you create a new path, you have to pass a string, which is the actual route. Okay, so for example here, the first one was empty. The second one, let's say that it's gonna be, I don't know, a random sample. Okay, so sample, and we're gonna display the views sample that is not created yet. Okay, these are the 2 main arguments that need to be passed: the route and the view. These are the ones that are required. Okay, so here, just for the sake of it, we're going to create a new view, which is called sample. It has a request. Does have a request, and it's going to return an HTTP response that says hello world. Oh, too cliche. Sample response, just for fun. Okay, so what happened here? I should put here, so in order to display that side, server is running. In order to display that side, I should go to pause sample. Okay, and what's going to happen here is that Django is going to go first to the urls.py, and it's going to try this. Okay, this path. It's going to try it here and here. It will match until this side here. Okay, because it's a pulse, so it will follow this order. So then include the pulse URL, and it will take this part to the second URLs. It's going to go here, and it's going to try it here. It's going to try it here and here, and it will match the second example. So now it should give me this view sample. Okay, so let's try it. Sample. There you go, a sample response just for fun. And this HTML file got created. Okay, so that's how routing works. Took a little while, but it's just for you to understand. Okay, so then it says you also can pass some keyword arguments and a name. You'll see a name for what it's the name for later. Okay, so just for now, we're going to do only this. We're going to be talking a lot about the next steps. I'm trying to like make clear some steps at the beginning for you to understand better. But the guy is very good, this guy, and I think we're going to have fun with it. So let's start with this for now. You can try it out. Do not copy what I did. Just follow along with your own version. And if you need help, just let me know.